Hello everyone, it is MisterStubstep, and today I have what I think is going to be a very awesome video. The collectible species of Pokemon in the TCG, and I'm going to be doing this on a tier list. So this isn't going to be a fancy thing that's made on that one website where you can make all your fancy tier lists, because I didn't want to have to move all these images into there and do this whole thing, which actually now thinking about it, I just did that for this slideshow, so I probably could have done it. But I'm just going to do it in this slideshow. I've done slideshows in the past, and I think they're somewhat enjoyable. I know people think slideshow and they're like, oh, what am I in class? But if the slideshow's content is interesting, it can be a good thing. Granted, this is not going to be a very glamorous slideshow, but I think the information within will be quite worthwhile. So, just before we get into it, I'll have timestamps down below if you just want to get right into the tier list so you can get angry or get happy, however you want to look at it. But just a little of prefacing before we do a deep dive into it. Hopefully this video isn't too long, but I have a feeling with my rambling it might just get to that point. So criteria is price. So basically the cards of this specific Pokemon, I'm going off of species, and generally kind of like its variants and all that stuff too that come along with the name. The different evolutions within a certain line will be separate though. So for example, if I put Charizard in a tier list, that is not going to include Charmander and Charmeleon. But a lot of times, some of those things can kind of go hand in hand with collectability, but I'll go into that later. But yeah, just based on if the card sells for the highest price, like for example, Charizard cards, super expensive, more than likely Charizard's going to be in a higher tier. Let's just put it that way. Frequency of print. So that's kind of another thing that we're going to look at, and it's going to be a reoccurring theme. How often is a certain Pokemon printed? Because let's be honest, a really, really unpopular Pokemon is not going to be printed to oblivion. Generally, they're going to print the Pokemon that people like more. Also, introducing new generations and stuff like that and getting more people hype into their new generations. But then also, you think about the Pokemon that's been printed the most. Pikachu, it's popular, it's the staple, it's the mascot. Just think about that. And I'm not talking about, specific amounts for each card for a specific set. I'm just talking about how many times does that Pokemon appear on a different Pokemon card. You know what I'm saying? As far as rarity goes, this kind of plays a part of it. Like, for example, Pikachu doesn't have too many super rare set cards. I know we just have Vivid Voltage with that secret rare of it, as well as the full art, VMAX and all that. But Pikachu is generally found, when it's expensive, it's found on promo cards. It has a lot of set cards that are, worth a decent amount, but generally within a set, it's a common card. So just think about the rarity of that specific card as well. A lot of times legendaries maybe will be on an uncommon card, but more than likely will be on a rare card or ultra rare card or higher. Popularity. Another thing, a lot of this stuff is kind of overlap, like in the anime, in the game, in the Pokemon, or in the video game, in the trading card game. Just which Pokemon are the most popular, just kind of another thing to keep in mind. Some of these Pokemon will have won global popularity lists, but within the Pokemon card game and as far as collecting, they won't be as high. Also, the debut generation, let's be honest, there's still Gen 1ers that are running around there. And then now Gen 2 is kind of getting into that spot. And then hopefully maybe Generation 3. But I'm going to be honest. You can look at a lot of YouTubers nowadays. A lot of them don't even know freaking Pokemon past Generation 4, the names of them. Which, can you really blame them? They grew up with, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 maybe. So they know those Pokemon really well. But then everything else after that, they weren't into the game at the time. So how can you really blame them? But, they're picking up with Generation 8. So give them some kudos, I guess. And then a lot of this is based off of my research. That's a big asterisk. I've done deep dives, value discussions for specific cards within sets for all the Sword and Shield set, or not all the Sword, I keep saying that. All the Sun and Moon sets, all of the X and Y sets, all the Sword and Shields up to Vivid Voltage, and I just started Black and White. And of course, me collecting Pokemon when I was a kid, I've taken a pretty good look at all the WotC era sets, except for E-Series. I really haven't gone too deep into E-Series. I've just seen a lot of beautiful arts in there, but I've done a pretty decent dive, from base set all the way through Neo Destiny. And then this list is not all inclusive, okay? This list is ever expanding. I encourage you to leave down in your comments if you disagree with a placement, if something should be moved up or down or added or removed completely. I'm really curious on your guys' opinions. This is my opinion, and I just want to create a discussion, and I think a lot of people have this question, hey, what cards should I collect? And then everyone's just like, oh, collect Charizard, Pikachu. Oh, collect what you enjoy. And I'm going to say, a lot of times those rules do reign true, but I'm here to provide a little bit more insight on some of those other Pokemon that you're kind of aware of, but not really, and just laying them out for you. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, the SS tier. There are only 2 Pokemon in this tier. Can you guess what they are? Yep, we have Pikachu and Charizard. I'm not going to spend too much time on these. If you have just gotten into the game, let me just give you the basics. Pikachu and Charizard, they do pretty well. They do pretty well. I would look for those cards, look for the more unique ones. But yeah, it's if you're in the game and you haven't seen the Charizard from base set, like it's I find it hard to believe that my video is the first like introduction into the game, but hey, I won't spend much longer. Pikachu and Charizard, of course, at the top. I had to create a separate tier. I was just going to have S tier and then A tier, but I had to create a separate tier for Lugia because I was laying it out. Because all of this is going to be off the dome, so I'm sorry if I like misremember some things because I'm almost laying out 100 different Pokemon here. And I can't remember all the cards, but I try to remember what I can off the top of my head. But Lugia, I couldn't put it in the A tier because the other stuff that I was comparing it to, it just didn't feel right. And it didn't feel right to put Lugia next to Pikachu and Charizard because it's like just one notch below. So put Lugia in the S tier. If you're also aware, you know, Lugia Neogenesis, beautiful card. I mean, and then if you want to go more modern, you have Lugia and Lost Thunder. I can't wait till they release a Lugia card in the Sword and Shield series of sets because that card's going to go wild. I know they're doing Rayquaza soon. Oop, spoilers. We have the A tier. So I mentioned that these lists aren't all-inclusive. So, you know, this is going to be like a running list and it's ever-evolving. And this is just right in the moment when I'm making this video. So Pokemon within the same tier, they're listed in no particular order. So starting out with Umbreon, my favorite evolution. Once again, another card if you like Eevee and Evolution, very cute cards. It's a Pokemon that gets a lot of people into the game. I know I'm going to start talking like in general, like kind of outside the trading card game, but a lot of these do have that, you know, dense background from prior, so that's why that popularity kind of carries over because it is so great. And Umbreon just has so many great cards. I mean, you have those Neo cards, you have the Gold Star from the Pop series, you have even more recent, you know, in Hidden Fates. Like there's so many good Umbreon cards. And of course with Umbreon, I'm gonna put Espeon. I did say that there's no order, but if you had to put who's better, Umbreon or Espeon, I would put Umbreon over Espeon, but I still put them both in A tier because Espeon gets a lot of respect generally for the same cards. I mean, you have the Holo and Neo Discovery, you have the Shiny and Hidden Fates, and then you also have a Gold Star as well. And then Espeon's had a lot of good cards throughout. We have Mew. So Mew has a lot of good promo cards, has a few good, you know, set cards and all that stuff, but a lot of solid promo cards. I mean, you have, if you want to go more recent, we have the Shining Mew and Shining Legends. A lot of good Mew cards, very popular Pokemon. I would argue it's the most popular mythical Pokemon. I would look up the difference between mythical and legendary Pokemon, but legendary Pokemon are like the ones that you can catch like in the mainline games, and then mythical, you normally need like a special ticket or a special event to get the mythical Pokemon. Unless you play Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go seems to just hand out mythicals like it's candy, which I enjoy. Then you have Mewtwo. Of course, you're not going to have Mew without Mewtwo. Mewtwo has had so many good cards. I mean, you have the Shining Mewtwo, you have the Shining Legends Mewtwo, the Mewtube, the Secret Rare and the Rainbow of this card looks amazing. And then you have the Shiny Mewtwo and Hidden Fates. So I'm going to be hitting a lot of the same sets because those are like a lot of the bigger sets that got a lot of people back in. I mean, you have the Mewtwo from base set. There's just a lot of great Mewtwo cards, and I mean, it's a Pokemon that you find at the very end of Generation 1 and deep in the cave, so it's pretty cool. And then Rayquaza. Honestly, Rayquaza was like the only kind of like off legendary that was kind of thrown up into here, I think. But I mean, if you think about it, like green snake-like dragon is just really cool. You find it at the top of the tower in Generation 3. You know, it settles down Groudon and Kyogre. I don't know, just really cool concept. Rayquaza has a lot of good cards. I mean, the Gold Star Rayquaza is one of the most expensive Pokemon cards ever. There's just so many good Rayquaza cards over time. I mean, there's sets that are completely dedicated to Rayquaza, that being Roaring Skies, and we have Evolving Skies coming up with Rayquaza. So Rayquaza, I think, is definitely worthy of A tier. Moving on to B tier, starting out with Gyarados. So this might be like kind of weird, but Gyarados has had some great cards. Like, let's be real. I think anything with Gyarados and a Fisherman in the card does extremely well. I know a lot of you are probably thinking of the Shining Gyarados. Beautiful card. I mean, Gyarados has Rainbow Rare and Crimson Invasion, and a lot of the cards are escaping me, but when I like go through all the sets and everything, I throw the cards down that I think are worthy. And Gyarados has had some amazing arts. I mean, the Gym series has some good Gyarados holos. Base set Gyarados has some good ones. Yeah, there's been a lot of good Gyarados cards. I mean, you have Dark Gyarados, and I think Gyarados in general is pretty popular because it evolves from a useless Magikarp, well, almost useless Magikarp, and then it becomes like one of the strongest Pokemon, which is really cool, and it's really good in the game too. You got Tyranitar. So I'm just going to hit on it now so I don't forget about talking about it later. But the thing is that advice that people give, like collect what you like. The thing is, I'm sure you have a favorite Pokemon or like a top 5 or top 10 or just Pokemon that you like or whatever. And I'm going to be honest, like Tyranitar is probably like in my top 10 favorite Pokemon. And what do you know? He's in B tier because a lot of people like Tyranitar. He's cool. A Godzilla looking, dinosaur looking rock dark type. Like it's just a cool concept. Tyranitar is really cool. And Tyranitar's had a lot of good cards. You got the Shining Tyranitar. You have, I can't remember which set Tyranitar was in for Sun and Moon. And then recently in Battle Styles, you have that Sleeping Tyranitar, the Buffet Tyranitar, whatever you want to call it. Tyranitar is just an awesome Pokemon that a lot of people enjoy. Sorry, this is going to get kind of long. I'm going to help maybe speed these up a little bit. Raichu, evolution of one of the most popular Pokemon of all time. And I didn't think Raichu would be worthy, but Raichu has some pretty expensive cards. If you look throughout history, I mean, you have base set, you have the first secret rare on the English side. You have more Shining Legends. I was surprised about how much that Rainbow Rare went for. Raichu gets some good love. And then we have 3 evolutions, Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon. They all have their respective gold stars. They all have their respective holos, whether it be in jungle or... Shoot, are they all in jungle? Yeah, I think they're all in jungle. But yeah, they're solid. Not as good as Umbreon and Espeon, which is kind of weird because normally Generation 1 just trumps Generation 2. But it's one of the rare cases where Generation 2 is like, nah, we got you. So, yeah. But they're solid cards. You ever see evolutions? I mean, we have Eevee Heroes. It's kind of being added to Evolving Skies later. Eevee Heroes being the Japanese set, and then Evolving Skies being the English set. That's going to encapsulate that later this year and at the end of August. It's going to have the evolutions, and these cards generally do pretty well. A lot of them are featured in promos or just, good holos, and they'll be getting all ultra rares, which would be nice. We have Sylveon. So this is another one where it's kind of like debut generation. Sylveon came out in Generation 6 with the introduction of the fairy type. And, I mean, how can you look at Sylveon and not think that's cute? And then the shiny version's, like, even cooler. Sylveon's one of the ones that, 10, 20 years down the line, I might put Sylveon in a higher tier than the other evolutions, because Sylveon's a cutie, and right now you have all the people that are around my age that played Generation 1, Generation 2, Generation 3, and, 20, 30 years, or when all of us die, who's going to be left? The people that started out with the Generation 6, Generation 7, Generation 8. So, yeah, Sylveon's pretty cool. We have the Bird Trio, and, yeah, they're solid. Honestly, they're kind of lackluster legendaries if you ask me, but they are the first trio, so they're always going to hold some weight. And then they just all got Galarian forms. You know how Pokemon does. They add a bunch of new Pokemon, but they always got to preserve those Gen 1ers to keep riding that train. Like, oh, shoot, I remember when Moltres was a fire type, and now it's like a dark type or whatever. Like, I don't know. They do well. They have some beautiful cards in Hidden Fates, and then they have a whole bunch of beautiful cards within Crimson, oh my gosh, Chilling Reign, so their Galarian forms, that is. And they've had some good cards over promos, holos. Yeah, they're pretty awesome. Or legendaries. And then we have the other Gen 1 starters, which I think is kind of funny that they're down this far from Charizard, but I mean, it's the truth. You would definitely put Blastoise above Venusaur, but I just put them in the same tier for simplicity's sake. We have Dragonite. Gen 1 Dragon type. Dragon type was this the only Dragon type besides Dragonair and Dratini in Generation 1? Is that true? Am I misremembering that? Anyway, pseudo-legendary, meaning it has a 600 base stat total. That is when, everything got transferred over to, like, the Gen 3 mechanics, or maybe it had base stat totals that were set before then. But, yeah, these Pokemon generally really strong. You're generally not going to have them for your main runs through the game because they're just hard to get, or they don't evolve till freaking level 90 or something. I know Dragonite evolves at level 55, don't get me wrong. But Dragonite, just derpy, powerful dragon. Really good cards. I mean, that Dragonite holo from Fossil I would put that in probably my top 10 most beautiful cards that have ever been released. It's just such a good artwork. You have the think Dragonite is in Dragon's Majesty, and then there might be, I don't know if that's a set that has his rainbow one, but Dragonite has a lot of good cards. Just look out for Dragonite, solid one. And then you have the Legendary Beast or Legendary Dogs, and then some people call them Legendary Cats, but I don't know if that's right. But yeah, these are pretty popular. They have their gold stars as well. They have, they were in Shining Legends. They had some, I know Suicune had a shiny form in Shining Fates, which is pretty poppin'. You have the Raikou Amazing Rare, so I'm very curious what they're going to do with Entei. Entei's had a few holos recently, which are actually amazing artworks, like some of the newer sets. Had some really good holo cards. But yeah, they've been really good. Their debuts within the Neo series of sets, they had some really good cards, and they're respected Pokemon in general for card collecting. So, and then I didn't have enough space to like make this somewhat symmetrical, so I included Gengar. Gengar is one of those Pokemon. I'm sure some of you either like, actually I don't want to say you either love or hate him. I think a lot of people just love Gengar in general. Really cool ghost poison type, really fast, really strong special attacker. He's a solid Pokemon, really good cards over time. I mean, the gym series of sets, even the non-holo of him goes for a ton of money. And then you have, his debut, and yeah, just a lot of good Gengar cards. Sorry, I'm like trying to think through all this stuff, and I don't want to dwindle this down too much. You have the C tier. So it's going to start sounding bad, like C tier, D tier, F tier. If the Pokemon made this list, they are like a solid Pokemon to like look for and collect. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Will every single one of their cards be 1,000% increase in the future? No, but they're just Pokemon to keep in the back of your mind. So we have the remaining evolutions, which is kind of sad. Leafeon and Glaceon. They're a little bit less inspired. Came out in Generation 4. You had to be like near a rock to evolve them, which was kind of unique. But they've long since changed that because people were like, yeah, that's kind of annoying. I mean, they're cute. They're evolutions, so that's really the only thing that kind of keeps them going. They've had some level X cards, which are kind of notable, and then they had some shiny forms and hidden fates, so they're decent. Snorlax. Snorlax was kind of hard to place. I kind of wanted to place it up one more tier, but Snorlax is he was kind of hard. I ultimately decided C tier. Had his debut in was it Fossil or Jungle? Dang, I'm pretty bad right now. But regardless, has some really good cards over time. I mean, most recently, Snorlax has had a pretty good holo, as well as, like, at least within the game has been solid. And then you have the Rainbow Rare VMAX and all of that within Sword and Shield base set. And then you have the Gold Snorlax and Chilling Reign. So Snorlax definitely gets some love. And keep an eye on Snorlax. I mean, it's kind of hard to miss him. He's so big. Jirachi, another mythical. All these legendary Pokemon are featured in movies, but Jirachi's kind of a cute one, sometimes kind of forgotten, but Jirachi cards, they have a pretty penny. They're worth a pretty penny. Celebi, kind of put him in the same boat. I would put Celebi over Jirachi, but Celebi's had some really good cards throughout the history of the TCG, so I think Celebi's definitely earned its spot. Most recently in Chilling Reign, there's a VMAX, and then the Rainbow VMAX, and then they had that promo in Japan. Oh my gosh, it was beautiful. If you've not seen that promo in Japan, I don't know how it's going to be introduced on the English side or if at all, but it is such a beautiful like alternate art. And then you have it as an amazing rare, and yeah, Celebi's pretty solid. I put Cynthia here. I'm just talking about female full arts in general. It's kind of crazy because this conversation a year or like 2 years ago, full art trainers would have never even been in the conversation. And then just over like the past year or two, I don't know if it's the weebs taking over, or the people wanting their waifus or husbandos or whatever you want to call it. If they're your favorite trainer, they're your favorite trainer. Who cares? But female full art trainers, not every single one, because there are some, for example, Cynthia, Marnie, Lily, that are more popular than others, but in general, you can't really go wrong with female full art trainers at the moment. This list is ever changing. These could go up, these could go down. Who knows? There was a point like earlier this year, late last year, when like female full art trainers were literally reigning supreme in like a ton of sets, and they've kind of cooled down a little bit, but they're still very popular. Charmander. So this is where Charmander made it. Charmander's had some good cards. I mean, base set, Team Rocket had a really good Charmander. Hidden Fates has a really, really cute Charmander. I wish I had that card, the shiny Charmander. We have Groudon and Kyogre. So they're a little bit down below from Rayquaza. Rayquaza put them down. You know how it goes. They got to calm them down when they're fighting. I think they're all right. They've had a few sets dedicated to them. They had the Team Magma or the Team Aqua Team Magma set, and then they also had what do you call it? There's Primal Clash. There's Ancient Origins. Like, there's a lot of sets that kind of had them featured, and they do really well. And they've definitely gotten some good screen time. I'm excited to see how Sword and Shield will implement them, if at all. Eevee. Eevee's actually on here. Eevee's had some really good cards. A lot of promo cards for Eevee. Eevee's a cutie. Eevee leads to all these other evolutions. So, I mean, keep an eye out for Eevee. Ho-Oh. Fortunately, Lugia just really outshines Ho-Oh, even though Ho-Oh is the fire type. But Ho-Oh's still up here somewhat. I think any legendaries that are like here or above are pretty solid legendaries. But I mean, Ho-Oh is the first legendary that's featured in the anime. You can get a Ho-Oh in like Pokemon Coliseum by like beating the entire Mount Battle. Sorry, I'm just like spouting off like random things that I remember. But yeah, Ho-Oh is pretty cool. I think it was the first one to learn that Sacred Fire attack, and then other Pokemon are able to learn it now. But yeah, it's a good Pokemon. Look out for it. It has a shiny form in, what do you call it? Shiny form in Hidden Fates, as well as in Shining Legends, and then it also has the full art form, or Rainbow and Burning Shadows, as well as the full art. So it's, or maybe it was the Rainbow a promo. I know for a fact the full art is in Burning Shadows. Okay, I've pulled it. D tier. I put some male full art trainers. Obviously, the pool of male full art trainers that are popular is a lot smaller than the pool of female full art trainers. But, I mean, you can think of Steven, Giovanni, N, even like Blue. Have they ever made a Gary card? I know they've made blue cards, but Red, Professor Oak, kind of. Some of the professors are more popular than others, let's put it that way. And yeah, and then some, of the Elite Four members or gym leaders are more popular than others as well. But yeah, I just put Steven because I like Steven. Gardevoir. Gardevoir is actually the evolution of my favorite Pokemon of all time, Kirlia. But yeah, Gardevoir I would say is pretty solid, despite, the D tier sounding bad. Lucario, I think at one point this was rated the #1 Pokemon in the world, like most popular. But it got overshadowed by Greninja. Really cool Pokemon. And I'm going to hit this later at the end, but just look at what Pokemon in general, like what their movements are. Lucario, Greninja, they're both in Smash Brothers. There's just like little things here and there, and you can kind of see what they're doing based on popularity, and then that can kind of reflect in the card game sometimes. Sometimes it carries over, sometimes it doesn't, but just things to keep an eye on. Like if you would think, oh, Greninja, at one point it was rated the most popular Pokemon in the world. Why isn't it, A tier, S tier? But you look at the cards, break it down, it kind of reflects that way. And also, it's still such a new Pokemon from Generation 6. You got Squirtle. Squirtle and Bulbasaur made it. They made it to the D tier. Cuties. Got Ninetales. Ninetales is just one of those Pokemon from Generation 1. It's a pretty good-looking Pokemon. Nowadays it gives me like Naruto vibes, but then it was given in a Alolan form. So, look at Pokemon's moves. Oh, are they giving it a Alolan form? Oh, are they giving it a Mega Evolution? Like, just look at that. Salamence. Awesome. Pretty much Gen 3's equivalent of Dragonite. Really cool Pokemon. Never had one on my team, but I feel like it'd be really powerful. Reshiram and Zekrom, the box legendaries from Generation 5. I personally don't have like a huge affinity for these two because Generation 5, I like went back and played. I didn't play it when it first came out. But, these are cool Pokemon, and I gave them the respect because their cards, they go for a lot. They have some black and white cards literally, and then they have some gold cards as well. So, Metagross. Metagross is really cool. Another pseudo-legendary, also in Generation 3. It used to be a freaking tank before metal was kind of, or the steel typing was kind of nerfed. Oh my gosh. I cut the video. That took me like 10 seconds to think of nerfed. Mimikyu. So once again, another really new Pokemon. I believe it debuted in Generation 7 because there was that one gym, or that one trial that actually freaked me out. Like, it actually got me kind of scared. Like, the only other time I've been scared in a Pokemon game is when you're in that Eterna Forest, and you find the Rotom in that like old chateau. That's the only other time I've been kind of scared in a Pokemon game besides this Mimikyu. So for that, I put it in the D tier because it scared me. No, but Mimikyu's a popular Pokemon. It imitates Pikachu, so it gets a little bit of that Pikachu, coattails, residue, whatever you want to talk. Alakazam, Generation 1 Pokemon, really cool. Had some cool times in the anime, and it's just a cool Pokemon in general. I really like it. And now Alakazam, that dude finally relinquished whatever rights or whatever. I feel like he just wanted the spotlight when Pokemon was at its peak, but yeah, look out for Alakazam cards. Lapras. I mean, you get a free one at Silphco. Ash is writing it in the intro. It's like the number one Pokemon you think of when you think of Surf. Like let's think about it. You want to ride a Lapras, It would be fun. Lapras has had some good cards. Sword and Shield base also had a shiny one and Shining Fates, and it's hollow and fossils, pretty solid, difficult to grade. Yeah, there's been a lot of good Lapras cards. Milotic, kind of along the same lines as Lapras, but Generation 3. Very difficult to get in the games, but still a really beautiful, elegant Pokemon. I believe Cynthia actually has a Milotic on her team, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Milotic, really awesome, elegant Pokemon. I know there's a Gold Star Milotic. Or is it a Gold Star, or is it a different type of rarity? I can't remember. But yeah, Milotic, look out for. Charmeleon, once again, within the same Charmander line. Typhlosion, and Feraligatr. Some Generation 2, like, fully evolved starters. I feel like this was the best place for them. They have some decent cards, but they're not printed a heavy amount. Like, there's been some like hollows and all that stuff, but we haven't really seen ultra rares of these particular of Generation 2 like recently. And it kind of makes sense because you think about which generations are the most popular. A lot of people love Generation 1, a lot of people love Generation 3, a lot of people love Generation 4. Generation 5, yeah, kind of. A lot of people like Generation 6. A lot of people don't really like Generation 7. And then a lot of people hopped in at Generation 8. So, F tier. Got Solgaleo and Lunala, box legendaries from Generation 7. I played through Sun and Moon or I guess Sun and then Ultra Moon, so I played through the game twice. And, these are cool legendaries, and they could, like, combine and all that stuff. But, yeah, I mean, their box legendaries are still really new, so F tier. Latios and Latios, kind of the same deal from Generation 3. There's been a lot of legendaries, and I'm not going to include all of them, but just the ones that I've seen have like decent cards. Like these two have Gold Stars, and they have other decent cards like Ultra Rares and stuff. Psyduck. Look out for Psyduck and Slowpoke. They've been featured on some Tag Team GX cards, and I don't know, I feel like there's some people out there that Slowpoke and Psyduck are their favorite like Pokemon of all time, so I thought they were worthy of the F tier. We have Arceus. Arceus doesn't get too many cards. There's the Shining Arceus and Shining Legends, but, I mean, it is the god or creator of all Pokemon. So if there are more Arceus cards that eventually get printed out, I would look out. And Arceus has its own, like, subset within one of the sets. I can't remember. It's actually pretty cool. You put all the cards together, and it makes, like, a full, like, picture, which is kind of cool. We have Palkia and Dialga from Generation 4, the generation that I put the most time in before Generation 8. Generation 8, just shiny hunting. I've put a lot of time into it. But before then, just grinding on Generation 4 through the slow walking and slow text and slow battle animations. I grinded Generation 4. These two awesome legendaries, in my opinion, have some great cards. Now, Dialga has that silver card, and they've had some really cool cards over time, despite even being from Generation 4. Yveltal and Xerneas, box legendaries from Generation 6. I just included them because they're other box legendaries, and they've had some notable cards, but once again, they're at a little bit of a handicap because they started in Generation 6. Oh, sorry. Skipped ahead a little bit. Oh. Shaman. I put it in the Sky form because I feel like Shaman in its Sky form has gotten more cards than the land form. But I know Shaman had a really competitive card at one point, and I don't know. I think Shaman cards in general, if more Ultra Rares were to come out, I think they would do all right. Then you have Zacian and Zamazenta, so Generation 8 box legendaries. And when I say box legendaries, I'm literally talking about on the box for the video game, which legendaries are showing up, or, that's why I call them box legendaries. But Zacian and Zamazenta, obviously Zacian a lot more popular than Zamazenta. I did pick Shield, though, so Shield Doggo all the way. But despite them being Generation 8, they've gained a lot of traction. They have gold cards. Like, they have, like, the gold secret rare cards, and then they have the gold and black cards, which are really cool, and then they have their other, like, just regular ultra rare cards, and they have some cool hollows, too. So I think they have some potential. Scyther, Scizor, once again, if these two, I would imagine these two, or at least one of them, is on, like, one of your favorite Pokemon of all time list. I know Scizor is on for me, and they're just really cool Pokemon. and if more cards for them come out. I know Darkness Ablaze had the VMAX and all that stuff, but yeah, I think they have some really cool cards. Houndoom, another one, kind of iffy, but it had some really good Neo Hollows, and then, you know, Houndoom was given a Mega form as well as Scizor. It's Generation 2. Scizor is a combination between Generation 1 and Generation 2, because Scyther is Gen 1, Scizor is Gen 2. But Houndoom is, I think Houndoom is pretty solid. Houndoom recently had a gold card in, what was it, Battle Styles? I think it was Battle Styles. Yeah. Wailord. So Wailord was one of my biggest surprises. I don't know if people like Wailord because it's like just the biggest, like, surface area-wise Pokemon, but it's a few of the Wailord cards. Take a look. Some whale cards go for a lot, and they did do a tag team with Magikarp, and it does pretty well. Wailord, don't sleep on Wailord. Not a ton of Wailord cards printed, but the ones that have been printed, they do all right. And then Magikarp, you have the Shining Magikarp. You have that one Magikarp promo that's also a Shiny Magikarp. And I don't know, Magikarp is just, it's one of those Pokemon. Gyarados does really well, and, you know, Magikarp is there flopping away too, happily. F tier is the only one that has a second slide. Steelix. When I was making this, I put Steelix on here, and I was like, does Steelix really deserve this spot? But then again, I was like, you know what? I like Steelix. I'm gonna keep Steelix here. Let me know if you think Steelix does not belong to be on this list. Incineroar. Incineroar, Generation 7 Pokemon, featured in Smash Brothers. I didn't think Incineroar was that popular. Its cards don't really do too well, but I'm thinking in the long run, and I feel like Incineroar will do all right. Machamp. I was surprised about Machamp, but a lot of Machamp cards do really well. I mean, Machamp has like 100 different freaking variants of the base set holo, but yeah, Machamp cards do okay. And I know like the Rainbow Rare and I can't remember which set it was from, but it does all right. Necrozma, I feel nothing towards Necrozma. It was like the Pokemon that could combine with or fuse with Solgaleo and Lunala. I feel nothing, but Necrozma cards, ultra rare cards continue to be printed, and they do okay, so I included it. Darkrai. Love Darkrai. Really cool mythical Pokemon. I have a shiny one, but pretty sure it's not legit, but I'm holding on to it because it's just so cool. But yeah, Darkrai, I think if you grew up with Generation 4, this Pokemon has like a little special place because it was just such a mystery. Blaziken, a Generation 3 starter, and the only one I'm going to include on this list because I feel like Blaziken, really cool, you know, karate, flame and fire, chicken, rooster, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a really cool concept, and it learned the attack blaze kick, which was unique to it at the time, and yeah, really cool Pokemon. Has some good cards. And then, of course, we're staying relevant. Chilling Reign, that alternate art VMAX, it's currently the #1 card within that set, so keep your eyes peeled for Blaziken. And then we have Kyurem. Oh, sorry, I thought there was going to be like a whole thing, but Kyurem, another one from Generation 5, I don't think is as popular as Zekrom and Reshiram, but I included it because it's, you know, its cards still do all right. And then there's, when they combine, oh my gosh, sorry, I'm not super well versed with Generation 5, but I know they can combine and do some funky stuff. And then you have Zoroark. I don't know about y'all, let me know if you ever felt this, but when Zoroark was first introduced, did you think Zoroark was a legendary? I totally thought Zoroark was a legendary. It has a really cool ability where it doesn't reveal itself. It like imitates another Pokemon, not like Ditto, but it like disguises itself. But ever since Team Preview, Zoroark's ability has become useless. Marshadow, really cool mythical Pokemon. I thought it was really cute. Ghost fighting type is just a really cool type. You know, as more Marshadow cards are printed, hopefully it gets some really cool ultra rares. It just has a bunch of holo rares, which I think is odd. Like, I feel like if this Pokemon, if anything, deserves some good ultra rares. Garchomp. Let's be real. If Garchomp being super cool never crossed your mind, like, are you in denial, or are you just trying to be like not follow the mainstream or something, or trying to be hipster or whatever? Because Garchomp is cool. I mean, a freaking land shark, like, that is so cool. And then you find Gibble in that dark cave where you like can't even see the entrance in Generation 4. Like, come on, it's a really cool Pokemon. And Cynthia has it. And if Cynthia's Garchomp didn't destroy you a dozen times, did you even play Generation 4? Ivysaur, look at that. Ivysaur and Wartortle making the F tier just in time. Look at them. Kangaskhan. So Kangaskhan's another one, kind of similar to Steelix, where you could argue that they don't even belong on this list, but I don't know. I'm going to give Kangaskhan some love. Kangaskhan's had a few good cards. And I don't know. I just, something about it. Just something about it. Safari Zone has a baby. Like, I don't know. Just interesting. Meganium, Generation 2 fully evolved. Didn't quite make it with Feraligatr and Typhlosion, unfortunately. I know a lot of the Meganium cards, or one of them is very difficult to grade in Neo, but Meganium just hasn't gotten that much love. I can't tell you the last like modern Meganium card. Maybe Generation 2 will get some love in Sword and Shield. Doubtful, because we have the new Diamond and Pearl video games coming out, but who knows. Hydreigon. Generation 5 pseudo-legendary dragon. Really cool. Dark dragon typing. Before Fairy, this Pokemon was a beast. And then Fairy came and just said, sit down, bro. But really cool Pokemon. Surprisingly, I don't think it gets too much love in the card game, but I have a feeling if more cards got printed for it, they would do well. Aerodactyl. Really cool fossil Pokemon. I think it outshines Kabutops and Omastar, especially Omastar. I think Kabutops is kind of cool from Generation 1. A lot of the fossil-type Pokemon either get forgotten or they're, like, burned into your memory, and Aerodactyl is just the one that you always imagine. And then the final two Pokemon, we have Ponyta and Rapidash, the Galarian form. So I wasn't going to include these because, like, the Generation 1 Ponyta and Rapidash are just kind of average. They do have that really cool episode. I don't know why. It's like my most remembered episode from the original Pokemon Kanto League where they're racing and then the Ponyta evolves into Rapidash and they beat the Dodrio. And I don't know. It was just, it really impacted me. I don't even think it was that good of an episode, but it was a really cool episode. And the fact that it like burned Ash before it got used to him and then he could actually ride. It was cute. But what was our intro into Generation 8? The Galarian Ponyta frolicking through the Glimwood Tangle. And we saw that glimpse and we're like, oh, shoot, it's a different form of Ponyta. And, like, look at them. They are so cute. Their serial cards have done extremely well. Their shining cards within Shining Fates have done extremely well. Just in such a short time, they've done extremely well. So I think I included them on this F tier list, and they're also Mystery's favorite Pokemon. So kind of had to give a little bit of a bias right there. I mean, I'm biased in general for this whole list, but yeah. So that is the entire tier list. Just some notes to go over. So there are clearly other starters from all the other generations, but just like looking at, you know, the cards and everything. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there's the Mudkip Gold Star and the Torchic Gold Star, and like there's those one cards that are really popular for all the starters, but I don't know. They just, until they start printing more, I honestly, just for blanket slate, you could just put all the other starters in their forms like in the F tier as well. But I just put the most notable ones that you can kind of look for, as well as other legendaries. There's a lot of mythicals like Genesect. Like, who remembers Genesect? I don't know. Genesect, cool. There's a lot of other mythicals and legendaries that kind of got left out in here. I just put the ones that I think are the most notable, at least within the card game, and the cards that are printed and like sold for a decent amount. And then I already hit on it before, but what is your favorite Pokemon? I guarantee you look at this tier list, at least one of your favorite Pokemon is featured somewhere on this tier list. I know like at least four, like my favorite Pokemon of all time is Kirlia, not featured on here. Gardevoir is though. I like Umbreon. Umbreon's in the A tier. I like Tyranitar. Tyranitar's in the B tier. I like Rayquaza. Rayquaza's in the A tier. Like you can kind of go through here and I would guarantee at least one of your favorite Pokemon is on here. So the advice of collect what you like isn't the worst advice, but I just wanted to be a little bit more specific with Pokemon here. Also, rarity, you know, a lot of these cards, that's why a lot of the basic Pokemon, like especially for the starters, because they only ever have common cards, they just get printed to oblivion. So just keep that into account. If you get the promo cards of certain starters or like certain exclusives or certain like special rarities, like secret rares, or like those gold stars that I was talking about, keep an eye on those for starters. But generally, the fully evolved starters are the ones that do the best because they're harder to pull and they generally will get the ultra rares. I kind of hit on it before, but what is Pokemon's focus? Who is Pokemon giving Mega Evolutions to? Who is Pokemon giving a Gigantamax forms for? Like, what do you know? Charizard and Pikachu both got Gigantamax forms. Who would have guessed? Like, there's just, you can kind of feel out Pokemon. What cards are they printing? I get it, like every now and then they kind of go off in their artistic direction, like giving Mawile a Mega Evolution. Did Mawile really need a Mega Evolution? No hate on Mawile, but maybe they just wanted to make it viable. It didn't have like a baby form or another stage to it. So if like, let's give Mawile a Mega Evolution. Who knows? But just keep an eye on what Pokemon's doing. Who are they giving Alolan forms to? Who are they giving Galarian forms to? I don't know what their next thing is going to be for Generation 9, but just keep your eyes peeled for that type of stuff. Shiny Pokemon in general. I don't know what it is. Even if that Pokemon isn't on this tier list, if it's shiny and it came out at some point, there's just a little extra added bonus to shiny cards. So if you, for some reason, were just like, I just want to collect all the shiny cards that have ever been released in the TCG, you're not going to go wrong. I'm going to be honest. You're not going to go wrong. There's a lot of cool shiny cards. I know a lot of the older sets that had like 1 or 2 like secret rare shinies that nobody really knows about. So you can feel free to dig on those, or just the shinies in general. I mean, you can talk to a lot of people and everybody would be in agreement, whether you like it or not, that Hidden Fates is the biggest set that's come out, in recent years, and it's probably going to be the biggest for a long time. And then, finally, I want to know your opinion. Which Pokemon here you think should be moved up, down, removed? Which Pokemon do you think should be added? I know I didn't want to have this like super exhaustive list. I just really wanted to get out. I mean, I think the total Pokemon I ended up putting here was 91, so I think that's a solid chunk. There's almost 900 Pokemon total now, so I think a tenth of that, or 10%, of the species are a good thing to kind of look for within the game. So hopefully this was informative. I know it was a really long video. Hopefully you watched some of it. And if it was useful, please, let other people know or share it or whatever. I just think this is brought up a lot in conversation and it's hand waved a lot. And I just wanted to lay out in a video where we can all kind of come together and have a discussion. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and please let me know your opinions down in the comments.